Tuesday, September 22nd, 2020. And I'm going to start by asking Joshua Hobbs with Church of the Heights for invocation and a pledge of allegiance by Commissioner Bill Pickens. Mr. Hobbs.
Good morning. All right, let's pray. Lord, I thank you for your grace and mercy that you give so freely to us. I thank you for showing us what love really means. I also thank you for these men and women who serve this community so faithfully. I have to ask that you give each of them divine wisdom and understanding to govern us. Let them look to you for direction. Let your word be a light unto their path. Just as you became a servant leader, even to the cross, I pray that they would, or that you would give them strength to each of these to lead us in righteousness. Lord, we ask that you bring unity to our community through these men and women, so that we all may live in peace and with each other and with you. Lord, we ask for your anointing and your blessing over today's proceedings. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Commissioner Harvey.
Commissioner Goddard is trying to get on and it keeps knocking him off.
Okay, well, we'll let him on as soon as he is in the waiting room. He's not in there at the moment. I see the only one in there is Susan Frank, which I'm letting in at the moment. So there's no one else so far in the waiting room.
Jacob, can you reach out to Commissioner Goddard and see what his issue is? Do you have his phone number?
Okay. The chair's going to entertain a motion for the approval of the minutes as listed on the agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I move approval of the minutes of August 25th, 2020 Board of County Commissioner regular workshop.
I'll second it.
Okay. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Motion carries. Next, we have public comment. Is there anybody on the call with us today that would like to give public comment? Okay, hearing none, I'll leave the public comment section of it, and we'll move to item number 4 on the agenda, which are the countywide projects update by General Services Executive Director Julianne Young. Ms. Young.
Sir, I had to unmute me to restart. Good morning, and thank you for the opportunity to provide the updates. Again, I just remind you that these are general updates of a snapshot of projects and does not include every project undertaken by county departments. We're going to begin this morning with an update from administration on the strategic plan. Reports from the 2-day planning workshop has been disseminated. The mission, vision, and value statements have been established. The employee survey results have been disseminated and reviewed. The strategic operational plans and goal metrics have been drafted and are being reviewed by the consultant. One-on-one meetings with those goal metric leads have been scheduled and will be conducted within the next week. The 14 priority objectives identified by the BOCC have been assigned to a team lead and are being operationalized. The administration has the census out. As of 9/21/20, Putnam County has a 52.0 response rate. The state average response rate is 62.8, and the national average response rate is 66.0. The administration has the CARES Act Business Assistance Program live. The BOCC Business Assistance Program approved the Business Assistance Program on Friday, July 24th. Online applications went live on August 10th. As of 9/21, we have 126 eligible applicants, 168 missing documents, 3 in review. Of the eligible applicants, 74 have been sent to finance for payment, and of the missing documents, all have been contacted with the assistance of the Chamber of Commerce. Documents have been collected for 62 of the entities, and we are validating those missing documents to move those applicants to eligible status. Administration has a CARES Act nonprofit assistance program live. The BOCC approved a nonprofit assistance program as of Tuesday, September 8th. Online applications went live on Friday, September 18th. And as of 9/21, we have 10 eligible nonprofits, 5 with missing documents and 1 in review. The Animal Control Facility Project, the BOCC discussed the conceptual floor plan at the June workshop. Revisions were requested and have been completed. Ms. Suarez is expected to present the complete draft conceptual kennel plan at the November 16th, 2020 Animal Control Advisory Committee. The cat area has already been approved. Ms. Suarez is also working with the Public Works Department to get a survey completed. The Department of Health has interior building renovation projects going on. The bid was issued August 25th. It is set to close September 25th, and we expect to bring an award recommendation to the BOCC on October 13th. Construction is expected to be completed by May of 2021. The Melrose Library expansion is ready to go. The final review of construction documents have been approved. The bid documents have been drafted. The bid is scheduled to be issued this week, September 24th. Bids are scheduled to be due on October 21st. We expect to bring an agenda item for recommendation of award to the November 10th BOCC meeting, and construction is expected to take 240 calendar days, with a project completion estimation date of July of 2021. The Georgetown Park, the pavilion, playground, and picnic table installation are complete. We are still exploring options for boat ramp locations. Public Works has completed mowing and have assisted with surveying. The Flora Home Park Historic Building Restoration Project. The Flora Home Historic Association is raising funds to complete clubhouse renovations. The county completed the removal of the concrete slab as agreed upon, and the Flora Home Parks Association expects the clubhouse renovation to begin sometime in February. They have obtained their demolition permit and began demo. The Planning Department has the comp plan update underway. The Planning Commission is continuing its review and update of the comp plan. The Planning Commission met on September 8th to discuss changes to the goals, objectives, and policies of all 9 elements of the comp plan. Proposed changes to the future land use map will be discussed at the Planning Commission October 14th meeting. An initial map showing proposed changes to the future land use map will be available for public review and input this week. Any comments or suggestions for updates to the comp plan or the future land use map should be provided to county planning staff. The Planning and Building Department also has the Citizen Serve online permitting project underway. The contract was executed and we are now in implementation phase. Internal and external teams meet weekly to review and complete implementation of the modules. Public Works has the Main Street Sidewalk Construction Project underway. Construction is underway and to date is roughly 95% complete. We still have an estimated completion date in October of 2020. Public Works is also tasked with Fort Gates Landing Ferry Landing, which is being led by Travis Roberts. FDEP permit has been revised successfully. The Army Corps of Engineer permit revisions are pending and the pile load calculations are needed for FDOT. We do have an engineer engaged and we are waiting on those pile load calculations to return. Public Works also has the Barden Bridge project underway. We are happy to report breaking news. The design is complete and the plans were submitted to FDOT. Last night, FDOT gave concurrence on the construction plan. Public Works will begin to draft the bid documents for FDOT's review. And as soon as we get those bid documents back from FDOT, we'll be ready to send them out to bid. Public Works GIS mapping mowing project has been completed. Public Works equipment have had GPS installed and the data is reporting correctly. A link for the site will be posted on our website this week so that the public can view where those mowers and graders have been. Public Works Lake Susan Road Phase 2 project, the design is complete. Plans have been submitted for FDOT review. The construction is still scheduled to begin in December and project completion of June of 2022. Public Works has St. John's Avenue resurfacing, Palm Avenue to CSX crossing at the fire station. Design is underway. We have 60% design plans that have been submitted and reviewed. Public Works has the road resurfacing project underway. Construction is underway and complete roads are in the quality control phase. The last remaining construction includes Baker's Acres and Baker's Acres Drive, which are anticipated to begin. Public Works has the East Palaca wastewater treatment plant extension. This construction is complete and we're in the quality control phase. Public Works has the County Road 310 bridge rehabilitation. The contract was awarded. Public Works is reviewing the scope and design options relative to the funding limitations. We are expected to see a presentation this afternoon at the transportation workshop related to options. The Public Works has a dirt to pave fiscal year 2020. The bid has been issued on September 2nd. It is set to close on September 30th, and we expect to bring an award recommendation to the BOCC on October 13th. East Putnam drainage and flooding mitigation. The agreement to allow work in critical areas located on state property, increased funding, and a time extension was approved at the BOCC August 25th meeting. We're working on the bid package as well as in the process of obtaining surveying services for the area behind the prison that are required before we can ask TIF for the TCE. St. John's Avenue drainage improvements, State Road 19 to County Road 309C. Design is underway at 60%. The county has reviewed the design 60% plans on September 19th. Design is scheduled to be sent to DEO for review on October 21st, and we plan to advertise for construction in November of 2020. St. John's Avenue Bike Trail, the Gopher Tortoise relocation services have been procured and construction is scheduled to begin on October 15th. Road restriping and pavement marking project for fiscal year 20. The bid was issued on September 2nd. It is set to close on September 30th, and we expect to bring an award recommendation to the BOCC on 10/13. East Lar Lane drainage project, the Crescent Lake Shores Drive area. The bid was issued on September 2nd. It is set to close on September 30th, and we expect to bring an award recommendation to the BOCC on 10/13. Tolls Road drainage project. We issued a bid on September 16th. It is set to close on October 19th, and we expect to bring an award recommendation to the BOCC on 10/27. Reclaiming Main Street in Interlochen, it has been awarded to Anderson Columbia Construction. Sanitation has the Cell 4A construction project underway. The contract for services has been executed. Design work is still in progress. We are communicating with DEP regarding discussions and options to provide value-add alternatives to the original schematic design. Additional conversations are also being explored to allow permitting a borrow pit that would allow for us to use on-site soils as long as they meet specifications. We are expecting to see a bid in fourth quarter of 2020, and construction is estimated to take about 6 months. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Ms. Young. Do we have any questions? I would like to make one comment, if I may. I think it's great that we finally got the Etna Bridge. It's fixing to hit the street for bids. I know it's been a long process getting it approved by DOT and getting the engineer done. So it was really good news to hear that last night DOT allowed us to move forward with concurrency on the current plan and the engineering. So that's a big deal for anybody that lives on the other side of the bridge in Barden. So I'm really glad to hear that. Do any commissioners have any comments on the update at this time?
Mr. Chairman, I have a question.
Commissioner Harvey.
Thank you, sir. So Julianne, on the CARES Act for businesses, roughly we have about 284 businesses that have applied, and that timeline is still open. The BOCC has not closed that. Am I correct?
Yes, sir, you are correct. That is still open and active.
Okay. And Mr. Troxel, if you're are you on the call?
Yeah, it's showing up as Michael Rodriguez. We were the last ones to use my laptop, so that's me.
I'm so sorry that that's happened to you, sir. Yes, maybe we can get that straightened out. The mowers, I appreciate the GPS on the mowers, and I saw somewhat of a finished product the other day, but I think going forward, we need a presentation from you on what we really are seeing on that. Because what I want to see, I'm glad that we know where they were, but I want to see where they're going next, and that's the key. Because again, our Rotary Club wants to clean up the roadway again, but we don't want to do it after they done mowed and run over stuff. So I think that's where I'm going with that. So one day, maybe at the next transportation, not today, but maybe soon, we can do a presentation and that might help us understand a little bit better. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That's all the comments. That's all the comments I have.
Rawls, did you have?
Yes, I did. At Nine Creek Bridge, do we have a estimated amount yet?
No, sir. It's fixing to hit the street shortly.
So we don't have an engineer's estimate?
Julie or Mike, did they include that in the engineering and DOT paper?
I'm going to interject. FDOT strongly does not want the engineer's estimate released on their funding projects. They use a state statute that seals and shades those through which the time until after the time for which it's awarded.
But we do have one.
Yes, sir. And if you'll call Mr. Troxel, I'm sure he can give it to you. We just are not allowed by FDOT to release that engineer's estimate.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Commissioner. Are you done with the floor, Commissioner Rawls?
Yes.
I think it's important to know that we got to be very careful giving those numbers out if we're going to talk about it. I think we need to really put a cone of silence on ourselves at this point because we cannot afford those costs to come back in, because DOT, we were very fortunate to move money from one project to two, and we do not need those numbers to get back out.
Okay, thank you for that. Is there any more comments by commissioners before we move to the consent agenda? Thank you for your update, Ms. Young. We'll move into consent agenda. And I'll ask, do any commissioners wish to pull any items from the consent agenda, starting with Commissioner Rawls?
Let me switch screens here. Hang on a second. I'd like to pull the one that on our insurance renewal. I have some questions on that. Hang on a second. I'll tell you what that is.
That's item S.
Item S, renewal of insurances for fiscal year 2021.
Yep.
All right.
That's it.
Okay. It's pulled as Commissioner Harvey.
I do, sir. I have item L. I'd like to get a brief update on that.
Commissioner Pickens.
I just have a comment on M. I don't know that, do I need to pull it to make a comment, or can I just make the comment before?
Well, we can pull it if you wish, or I'll let you make the comment before we move.
Last week, our last meeting, when Kevin Stevens from Park and Recreation was on the agenda about raising fees for some of the uses of the parks, Mr. Harvey and I agreed that it should go to the Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee. We did have a meeting on the 14th, and we unanimously approved what Kevin was bringing and recommending to the board. I just want to make that comment.
So did you want to pull that or just leave it on the consent agenda as is, Mr.?
Leave it as is. We just made the comment that it did go before the advisory board, and we unanimously approved that portion of the fee changes.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Goddard, do you have anything to pull, sir?
I have none.
Okay. The chair will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda with the exception of items L and S.
Mr. Chairman, so moved.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Rawls and a second by Commissioner Harvey to approve the consent agenda with the exception of items L and S. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Motion carries unanimously. Okay, we'll move to item L, Commissioner Harvey.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And let me kind of set the stage. I did send out a couple emails to Ms. Garcia. Unfortunately, she thought I was more referring to Mr. Suggs, and she just got back to me this morning. My questions, and she's on the call if I'm not mistaken. My questions are very simple. Based on COVID, we're fixing to enter an agreement with them again, with the state of Florida, to use the Interlaken Elementary and the George C. Miller Intermediate School. Are those sites being used currently is my question to Ms. Garcia.
Ms. Garcia, are you on the phone with us today? I saw you earlier. Yeah, I see her. Looked like she's trying to get on with us now.
Can you hear me, sir?
Is that you,
Sir?
Mary?
Yes, sir, it is. I'm sorry. We're trying to do the Zoom, and I'm trying to do the phone because we weren't able to get the sound on the Zoom. The two sites are traditionally used in Interlochen and Crescent City for our WIC program. We are still having live individuals at our Crescent City site. And the WIC program has offered an extension. We're actually able to do all of our food renewals and our work with all of our moms and expectant moms over the phone. We do bring everybody into the office to get heights and weights on all the children so that they are being well taken care of. But because of COVID, we haven't gone live. I will say that it's critically important that we maintain those locations at the school district. This gives them the ability to put that they have programs that are being offered to the community, and it is what brings them their federal dollars. If we were not in those locations, the school district would not be able to pull down federal dollars. So it's critical for us to maintain those two sites, not only for them, but also for our clients as well. We also do our violence intervention therapy sessions at each of those two locations. We do our Healthy Families program and meet with families as well to those locations. So they are, they're well used. We're expanding this year. Well, because of COVID, we've had to put it back a little bit, reopening up our family planning program in Crescent City. It's desperately needed because of the lack of transportation back and forth. So we are, while that is on hold, that is one of our major projects for our strategic initiatives for this year.
Thank you, Ms. Garcia. The other question I have, the new water bill that came out last year is going to change environmental health in our government complex to Florida Department of Environmental Protection. I'm not sure I'm in favor of Florida Department of Environmental Protection being in our office. And I'll just publicly state that. So when does this change take place, Ms. Garcia?
Well, we have had changes in the past, sir, and what occurs is while the while DEP does take over the leadership, it is still managed by our health department. So we will contract with them. They're still working under it, so I cannot tell you that I have all the answers to how that's going to work. It's still under negotiation, but all I can tell you is from past effort that eventually the program still comes back to our team at the health department, and we would be doing the actual feet on the street.
Okay, so what would be the difference, Ms. Garcia, from currently now? I thought they moved that from the health department to DEP for a reason, and you're saying that DEP might contract back to the health department. Sounds like nothing changed at that point.
Well, I think what will happen is I think that they're trying to build teams, and that is still under discussion. So I cannot answer that to your completion because it's still something that's in the process. We have calls every couple of weeks on the progress of it, but it's basically probably what will happen is in our north central area. Putnam is odd in that we are linked to the north central region and the northeast region. So it'll depend on how much alike we are, which is more like the central region, which we work with quite a bit now. They'll probably form a team, but the team will still continue to do, it'll still be the staff members that will be doing the work. It may be a little bit different way that it gets reported to DEP.
Could you please keep us up to date when that gains more traction? Because I do think we need to, as a board, we get blamed for a lot of things, and I don't mind being blamed for the fights that I'm in, but I sure don't want to be blamed for the fights that I'm not in and don't have any control. So if you'll keep us,
when it gets a little bit more to where we have a documentation, I'll be happy to bring that before the board.
Thank you, Ms. Garcia. Mr. Chairman, that's all the comments I have on item L.
Okay, will you entertain a vote giving us a motion for to pass item L, sir?
I do, sir. Mr. Chairman, I make a motion we pass item L on the consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Harvey and a second by Commissioner Rawls to pass item L on the consent agenda. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Motion carries unanimously. The next item on the list is item S, Commissioner Rawls.
So I in looking at this, it brought to my mind that maybe this should have been discussed at a workshop prior to bringing it to the board to give us some opportunities to ask questions. But I've sent some questions to Mr. Reynolds, Ms. Young to address. But I'm just, we're from what I'm being told by a citizen who's looking into our workman's comp, we've got some substantial claims, and I personally have not seen anything regarding workman's comp claims or anything else regarding the other insurance as well, and just wonder if we shouldn't be discussing this throughout the year, maybe getting at least quarterly reports from staff so we can take a look at, if we do have a large number of claims for something as simple as a slip and fall, maybe we need to beef up our safety measures, or people with back injuries discuss lifting procedures or wearing back braces, stuff like that. But I just wanted to see if there was a way we could discuss this at a workshop before renewal period next time. Just take a look at what we've got going on, see what our options are. I'm not even sure the last time this stuff was bid out. I've been here for 2 years now, and it's not been bid out, so I don't know where we are with that. And I don't know if the insurance committee handles this, or if this is something that's handled totally by staff, and if so, maybe we should be looking at this on a more regular basis.
Okay.
That's all I had.
All right. Thank you. Would you entertain a motion to move this forward? But before you do, I think that comment has merit. I think that we do need to discuss it every now and then. I think that the safety committee actually reviews the workers' comp claims on a monthly basis and discusses them. I know that I have attended the safety committee a couple of times and saw that they had different departments within the county had people that went in, and that's exactly what they talk about, are the kind of things that you just brought up, Commissioner, which is ways to try to prevent claims and make things safer as they go. So Barbara, would you be the one he reaches out to first to ask what the safety committee does, and if that doesn't give him the information, then that he can request an item on a workshop and we can discuss insurance there?
Yes, absolutely.
Commissioner Rawls, would you reach out to Miss Barbara Shepherd, if you would, and Angela Nelson, and ask your questions, and if that doesn't give you the answers you require, I would be more than happy to place it on a workshop for discussion, and we can you can ask whatever questions you'd like at that time.
I think just a generic conversation regarding insurance as a whole at a workshop, and maybe bring it up quarterly so we can just track where we are if we if there's any claims that are being brought up. But just I personally think we need to be a little more involved than we have been, especially in light of what happened, with this renewal for our self-insurance, reinsurance. That can get sideways on us real quick, and I don't want to be caught off guard. I'd like to at least know what's going to hit us when it's going to hit us.
Okay.
But I would make a motion that we move this forward.
Second that motion.
We have a motion from Commissioner Rawls and a second from Commissioner Harvey to move this item forward. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Motion carries unanimously. Next, we're going to move into item 6A, which is a fine reduction request. Thomas, are you on the line? I don't see you. Yep, got you now.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Commissioner Harvey.
I think we're getting feedback from Commissioner Rawls. Do you hear the same feedback that I'm hearing?
I think we were getting them, but I don't know that we are now. It looks like everybody's muted that was causing that. So, Thomas, you want to try to go ahead and see if it was you?
Yes, sir. I'm here. What are we on? Which case are we starting on?
We're going to start on case 002009011194.
And the address is 112 Lake Galilee Drive. The violation is COP, debris, and a burned mobile home. The original fine amount was $3,977, and the total cost of enforcement action is $2,113. The new owners have recently purchased the property. The property is cleaned and compliant, and they are now requesting a fine reduction. If granted, we request the reduced fine to be paid within 90 days.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Harvey.
For everyone's benefit, I was contacted by this applicant yesterday. And again, they have referred to the fact that they did their diligence. They even attest to the fact that they called and spoke to a person in our planning and development department who said, I don't have access to the code's computer, but I don't see anything on our computer showing a fine. I don't know if that's true or not. That's what I was told yesterday. But I think we gotta, if that's true, if they don't have access to code's computer, I think we need to make that available. But I'm sure they do. I can't imagine that they don't. But that's a comment I got yesterday. But Mr. Chairman, I recommend that we reduce the fine to $813, which would take off the $1,300 administrative monthly, and allow them to pay it in 90 days. And that's my motion.
Yep, I'll second on that.
We have a motion by Commissioner Harvey and a second by Commissioner Goddard that we reduce the fine amount to $813 to be paid within 90 days. Is there any further discussion? I'd just like to say that that is very consistent with what we've been doing in the past, and I totally agree. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Ayes have it. Motion carries unanimously. We'll move on to case number 2007-00180 and 2012-00598 at 102 Putnam Avenue. Mr. Wilkinson.
The
Yes, sir.
violation for 2007-180 was COP and maintenance. The original fine amount was $78,868.50. The total cost of enforcement action is $2,895. The case for 2012-598, the violation was unsafe structure, and the original fine amount was $22,678. And the total cost of enforcement action is $5,891. Property owner purchased the property and he was unaware of the fines and liens. He's cleaned up the property and he's now compliant and he's requesting a fine reduction. If granted, we recommend the reduced fine to be paid within 90 days. I do believe he's on the phone.
Mr. Wilkerson, I see you're on the call. Would you like to say anything before we proceed?
Yes, sir. I would just like to quickly just state that I did purchase this property in June. I did try to do due diligence to the quitclaim, but I was unable to find these liens. I have absolutely no intention to let it default back into the previous state. The house has been cleared off, everything else previously being purchasing. Outside of that, just trying to figure out a way forward. Wasn't really expecting $100,000 fines on this property. So I'll talk little and listen a lot on this. So thank you, sir. That's all I got to say.
Thank you, Mr. Wilkinson. Does any commissioners like to comment or give a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion.
Commissioner Harvey.
Yes, sir. On the first case on 00180. I feel it's appropriate to be consistent, and we reduce that fine to $13.15 if paid in 90 days.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on case number 007-00180 that the fine be reduced to $1,315 if it's paid within 90 days. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Now with regards to case number 12-00598. Anything by commissioners?
Mr. Chairman, to be consistent, that number, if we took the 960 off of the 5891, that brings it down to 4931. Still kind of a high number, but I see the abatement cost was inside that. So, Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we reduce that fine to 4931.
And I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Harvey and a second by Commissioner Goddard to reduce the case 2012-00598 down to $4,931. Is there any further discussion?
Mr. Chairman? Is this also paid within 90 days?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
I made that.
That was part of the motion, sir. Thank you for mentioning that. It has to be paid within 90 days. Valid. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Ayes have it. Motion carries unanimously. Okay. Next, we're going to go into the clerk of court's report. Mr. Smith.
Good morning. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have two items. First, I want to thank Susan Frank and the finance staff. We received the approved CARES Act applications late Friday afternoon. They were able to process all of that paperwork yesterday to prepare the checks, and the checks were actually delivered to the post office yesterday afternoon. So I want to thank them for that. Secondly, I want to thank Bob Stender and Rick Freeze and their staff at IT for the quick move that we had to make last week over across the parking lot for our family division and criminal division. We made the call, they showed up, they worked hard all day to move the equipment, get the phone set up, and so that we didn't miss any time serving the public. So big thanks to them also. And Mr. Chairman, that's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. As always, we appreciate you being with us this morning. Next, we're going to move into appointments, and I'm going to ask at this time if the commissioners have any appointments, and I'll start with Commissioner Rawls. Do you have any appointments, sir?
No, sir, I have none.
Okay, Commissioner Harvey.
I have none so far.
Commissioner Goddard.
I have none.
Commissioner Pickens.
I have none.
And I have none today. So then we'll move from that into the county administrator's comments. Mr. Suggs.
Yes, sir. Good morning, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. I apologize now because my report is about as long as Julianne's project report. So, but first of all, I'd just like to say that as far as the CARES funding is going, we're doing well. We have received to date 74 applications for payment. I was here last night till about 6:30 and signed the last one, and they are now in the hands of the finance director at the clerk's office for payment. So those are going well. That's a total of 74. Also want to mention great work by staff and Paul Flato and those folks at Fire Rescue for the SAFER grant. As you all are aware, we got notified late last week that we were awarded $2.4 million of funding for fire rescue. That also came with a no match of which would have been about $800,000. So I want to give kudos to where it belongs, which is to all of our staff, Paul Flato and his folks out there at Fire Rescue for getting this taken care of and getting this done for us. So I also want to take this up. I'm sorry.
Yes, before you continue with the rest of your comments, could we talk a little bit about the SAFER grant, please? We've got to accept that grant as the next step in the process. in order for us to do it, I don't want to wait 3 more weeks to get this process moving. So we've got 2 options. One would be to discuss it here this morning if you have any questions on it. The other option would be to vote to move it forward with after the attorney has the chance to review the contract or review the agreement with the state. So I would like some comments from commissioners on what you would like to do. Either move it this morning forward and upon the review of Mr. Commando on the agreement and staff, or do you want to call a special meeting, or do you want to hold off for 3 weeks, which is what our new fire chief, is our new administrator of fire services or emergency services, I would ask us that we do it before then. So, commissioners.
Mr. Chairman.
Okay, Commissioner Harvey.
I have no problem moving this forward today with Mr. Commando reviewing those documents.
Commissioner Goddard, did you have something to say?
Yeah, I was wondering how soon do you think he's going to be looking at this? Could it be something that we take up later today?
I didn't understand the question.
Is this something that Mr. Commando will be looking at today and we could vote on at, say, the 5 o'clock meeting?
I don't know that he would have the documents for review yet, sir. It'd probably be a day or 2 before we actually get our hands on. Is that what I'm understanding, Mr. Suggs?
We actually have the funding agreement that was sent to us for the grant. We would have brought it to you guys today, or to the commission today, my apologies, with the exception of the fact that we just got it. So it is a $2.4 million roughly, and it is a non-matching grant. It's a 3-year grant to the tune of about almost $800,000 a year. I'll be more than happy to forward that out. However, I think it's a pretty standard agreement. They give these grants out every year, and if it's at all possible, it would be very helpful to go ahead and start moving some stuff forward in the fire committee plan. If we could go ahead and get this taken care of and not wait with essentially 3 more weeks.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Commissioner Harvey.
This isn't our first rodeo with that grant before, and it's helped us in the past. And again, I mean, this is free money without any matching. It doesn't take me long to figure this one out. So I think we should just move it forward.
Is that a motion, sir?
It is, Mr. Chairman. I make a motion that we move the SAFER grant forward today.
Then I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Harvey and a second by Commissioner Goddard to go ahead and move the SAFER grant forward upon review of the agreement by Rich Commando, our attorney.
Correct.
Is there any further discussion?
And Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Commissioner
Yeah,
Pitt.
I believe you mentioned that our new Director of Public Safety, he is requesting this. He would like to go ahead and get this approved rather than what?
Yes, sir. He requested that of me this morning, that we could either try to move it forward today, or would I call a special meeting if not, because he did not want to wait 3 weeks to get this moving. So yes, he did request it.
Okay, does anybody see the need for a special meeting? As Commissioner Harvey said, I don't think this is the first time the county's received one of these grants. So I'm good as long as the legal looks at this. And,
I would like to offer something.
Yes, Commissioner Rawls.
I think it would be prudent for us to maybe look at this at a special meeting after Mr. Commando looks at it, because if he does come up with something, then we've just kind of wasted our efforts here. I know that the county's received this funding in the past, and if there's any language changes whatsoever that he doesn't agree with, we would have to unring the bell. So I wouldn't mind having a special meeting. I've not seen anything obviously on it. I've read it. I read about it when it was first announced on Facebook. But if we're going to get if we have the paperwork now, let's send it out. Let's see if he can review it. We got plenty of time this week. We can maybe call a special meeting Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and get it done then.
Well, I think the motion on the floor, thank you for your comments, Mr. Commissioner Rawls, but I think the motion on the floor is that we move it through at this point. I would ask Commissioner Harvey to include in his motion, if he would, that if Mr. Commando finds any language that he finds is not in the best interest of Putnam County, that he would reach out to me, and at that time I would call a special meeting. But if he finds no objections, I think that we could move this forward today and get this rolling.
With no objection.
That clarifies it.
With no objection, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, so with that being included, is there any further discussion?
Yeah, Commissioner Chairman Turner, I mean, you would assume that's what would happen if he found something that we would have to call a meeting. But I do like it having it in the motion, so it's very clear.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Pickens. Is there any further comments? All in favor, say aye.
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 Ayes have it. Motion carries unanimously. Okay, sorry for interrupting you, Mr. Suggs. Please continue.
Okay, well, on that same note, let's go ahead, if you don't mind, sir, and let me introduce our new Executive Director of Public Safety, Mr. J.R. Grimes. Mr. Grimes is out of the EOC this morning, sitting in with Chief Paul Flato, who's been filling in for Chief Romay since Chief Romay has left employment with the county. So, Mr. Grimes, if you got anything you'd like to say this morning, sir, this will be your opportunity.
Yeah, I would just like to say good morning and thank you guys. Thank you for the county staff trusting me to do this job. I'd like to just give kudos to Chief Flato for everything he's done with the SAFER grant. Yesterday was my first day. We got about 3.5 pages of stuff we're trying to accomplish. We're prioritizing it right now, and we'll be pushing some stuff out real soon. And once again, thank you.
Very good. Thank you, and welcome aboard the Executive Director Grimes. Also at this time, if it's okay, would you, Mr. Chairman, like to go ahead and announce that we have a new executive assistant to the county administrator, and that will be Miss Sarah Herbing, who has been with as part of our family representing the clerk of the court for several years, but she is going to be moving over to the county BOCC side of the ledger in a couple of weeks. I just want to say congratulations and welcome to the family to both JR and Sarah this morning.
Congratulations, Sarah.
Thank you. Am I muted? No, no. Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Tell Debbie not to go so far over. You almost knocked her in.
Chairman, this is Tim Smith.
No, sir, we're not going to give it back to you.
Well, I just wanted to tell Matt Reynolds to keep his eye on you guys.
Oh, trust me, I've already given them an earful.
Congratulations to Sarah.
And getting to some serious business here this morning, I'd like to go ahead and talk about some things that may be changing in the near future. I'd like to get commissioners' discussion and conversation going about reopening the public meeting spaces at the library. As you're aware, we opened up the libraries last week, with the exception of the public meeting spaces. With things that are going on, the schools are reopened and everything else that's happening that's positive in our community. We had a request from the library director, Ms. Stella Brown, to go ahead and open up the public meeting rooms at each one of the libraries, but following CDC guidelines with some social distance, things like that. And at the same time, like to go ahead and talk about the possibility of reopening our community centers throughout our community. So if I could have some feedback from my commissioners on those two items, it would be very helpful today.
Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead, Commissioner Harvey.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Suggs, I have no problem doing that. The problem I see, though, is some of these meeting rooms are kind of small. So social distancing and that would be difficult. I think we've got another 8 days left in September. October, the governor will come out with some new recommendations, and I think, or maybe not, but I think we should look at it in October. I have no problem opening up our community centers and our meeting rooms. I just think if we're going to try to social distance in the library, it's going to be very difficult. Now, community centers, I think we can accomplish that very easily, but not the library. Not right now, anyway.
think the request, Commissioner Harvey, was for in October, I believe. I mean, like the 6th of October, wasn't that the date she requested?
I believe it may have been, Mr. Chairman.
I didn't hear that. I apologize.
Sir?
I did not share that. That's my bad. It was included in the email transmittal, and it was my bad. I didn't bring that part out, Commissioner Harvey. But yeah, we're looking at sometime probably the first week of October.
Okay, I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman. Then I fully agree. I think that unless something changes, we should be looking forward to an October date of opening those up. Thank you.
Okay. Any more comments on that?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Commissioner Pickens.
Yeah, that was actually on my closing comments to ask about the possibility of opening up, considering opening up the meeting spaces at the library. We'll have a request from Nancy Taylor, who serves on the library board, about when they may open up. So I agree with it, October 6th, with whatever guidelines the governor is going to put in place. So we need to have these facilities back open, and I agree with opening up the community centers also, like AO meets to meet in Lake Como, and they haven't been able to do that, and it's a very needed service for those participants in that program. So I agree, as long as everyone understands that they set the guidelines down for them to follow, and have the hand washing materials there, and maybe even still require masks, whatever the governor's put down. So I agree. Trying to open it up.
Okay, so it's my understanding from hearing commissioners that the October the 6th dates for the meeting rooms and the also the community centers would be good, as long as they try to abide by the current CDC guidelines. Is that's what I'm hearing?
Correct.
Absolutely. Yes.
Mr. Suggs, do you want a motion to that effect, or can we just do it by consensus to take the library director's recommendations and also recommend that the community centers be opened up October 6th?
No, sir. I think I'm good with a consensus here. We'll certainly put those activities in place. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, sir. Commissioner Pickens.
Yeah, as I think now we've got libraries in charge of libraries, and Parks and Recs is a community centers, correct?
I believe that's correct. Yes, sir.
Yep,
Yes.
You're correct. You're correct.
And I don't think Kevin's on the line. I would like his opinion on this.
Mr. Chairman, I will reach out to Parks and Recs, Mr. Kevin Stevens, and I have Ms. Julianne Young, who's also the executive director over that. We've talked about it briefly, she and I have. We'll have further conversation. I'll update the commissioners at the 2 o'clock workshop today, if that's okay.
Okay, would you update?
One more comment.
Commissioner Pickens, I'm sorry.
One more comment, and by all means, if opening up any of these facilities further or opening up the Parks and Recs, the community center, affects any of the municipalities, that they sure understand what the intent of the county is before it happens.
Yes, sir. We'll make sure we reach out to each one of them. You bet.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Just a couple more things.
So wait a minute. I need some clarification on what we just did. What we just did we say we are or are not going to open the community centers? We said we are going to open the libraries October the 6th. Did we just say that we are not going to do the community centers, or that we are unless there's an objection by Parks and Rec?
I'd rather we did.
I'd rather we are unless there's an objection from Park and Recs, from what I understood.
Okay, yeah, is that what your intent was, Commissioner Pickens, that unless there was an objection by Parks and Rec, we're going to open them up?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, Mr. Suggs, please continue.
Mr. Turner?
No problem, sir.
Yeah, excuse me, Mr. Suggs.
Mr. Chairman, I think from what I heard from Commissioner Pickens too, is for us to reach out to those municipalities that might have some restriction on them. I think City of Palaca is the only one that has any additional restrictions. Is that correct, Commissioner Pickens?
Yeah, that they're definitely understanding what our intentions are, and that they're in the conversation. If there may be something as like the restrictions that we may have to work out with them.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yes.
I think that Mr. Suggs and Miss Young will reach out to the city and make sure that they're aware and that conversation is had. Please continue, Mr. Suggs.
Okay, and I don't want to steal any of the commissioners' thunder, but Saturday we had an awesome event here at Farm Share, and the only
There you go.
I just, without stealing anybody's thunder, I just want to go ahead, if I could, and recognize those folks that participated Saturday on behalf of the BOCC and the commissioners, and the sheriff's office as well. As you know, when we got here, the volunteerism was a little light, so we reached out to both the sheriff's office as well as our fire rescue folks, and the sheriff's office sent a couple of deputies over, and they were awesome. It was Deputy Teresa Owens and Deputy Allison DeVille did an awesome job. And as far as fire rescue, we had Captain Tina Hitchcock, Mark Sala, Hunter Goyette, Amanda Farmer, Taylor Dwyer, Brooke Batesman, Kate Eisen, and Sam Schaller. And here's an awesome update here is we had volunteer stations 4 and 6 also participated. We had Joel Westerhoff, Kim Blackington, we had Ron Sherlock and his wife Nancy, and we had John Baller, who is a paramedic student. And your executive team as well with Julianne, Jim, and Mike Troxel. So and who? And Lee Durant. I'm sorry, I missed Lee. So you had great representation from the Board of County Commissioner staff and Fire Rescue and the Sheriff's Office. I wanted to say thank you to those folks for doing that. And I think probably at the 2 o'clock meeting, I'm going to be bringing some conversation to the board. We held a union meeting yesterday, fire union meeting with our frontline staff. And so we'll be bringing an opportunity maybe to sit down, discuss a potential date for a shade meeting so we can bring some items forward to you folks, and then we can get back with the union. That was one of the discussions we had yesterday, that we would try to move this forward as quickly as possible. So I'll bring that to you at the 2 o'clock meeting. And that's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you. I didn't know if you were going to take a breath or not.
I told you, I gave you a heads up as long as Julianne's.
Okay. Thank you, Administrator Suggs. And we're going to move next to Colonel Commando. Do you have anything for us today, Rich?
Just briefly, Mr. Chair, as we've mentioned before, that executive order from the governor 20-193 is going to retire October 1st. So that gets rid of the quorum requirement, or at least the ability to do that virtually. So we'll be meeting in person unless there's something that changes from the governor's office. But just a reminder that that does not change any of the social distancing recommendations or masks or temperature checking that we've been doing in the past. So anyone has any questions about those, feel free to reach out to me. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Commando. That was actually going to be part of my ending comments, but you got Mr. Suggs got Larry's and you got mine. So, Mr. Harvey, go ahead, sir.
Thank you. I have a question for Mr. Commando based on Mr. Suggs's comment. Union negotiations, are they publicly talked about at 2 o'clock, or is that an executive session that we talk about that?
Guess it depends on what you're talking about. If you're talking about anything as far as what the county's proposal is in those negotiations, that's usually conducted through a shade meeting in that executive session.
Thank you.
That it, Commissioner Harvey, for now?
That's it, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you for your comments, Rich. And with that, we're going to go into commissioner comments and requests. And I'll go first. That way, Commissioner Harvey can't steal my thunder. I want to, number one, I want to discuss extending the CARES Act funding. Our application process runs out tomorrow, the 23rd. I would like to extend that. I'd like to extend that out to the day after our next meeting, which is October the 14th at this point, unless someone has a problem.
I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, I think it's a wonderful idea, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, do I need a motion to extend that, you think, Rich, or can we do it by consensus?
I would do it based on motion since you're dispensing dollars.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we extend the CARES Act funding application period to October 15th.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Harvey and a second by Commissioner Pickens that we extend the CARES Act application period till October the 15th. Did you say, Commissioner Harvey?
I did. Yes, sir.
October the 15th. Is there any further discussion?
Under discussion.
Yes, sir. Commissioner Rawls.
I think we should consider increasing the amount. We still have a lot left that we can put out. And, you know, the money was intended for the public use. I think we really should consider increasing the amounts, and we can also retroactively go back and send out more as well. But, you know, with the participation level, the amount of money that's been expended so far, I think it would be good for the community and good for the businesses, especially nonprofits that are suffering. But I think we should consider that.
I don't disagree, Commissioner Rawls, and I'd like to have the discussion in workshop this afternoon, if I could, about are we going to come up with another program like we had discussed earlier for senior and disabled persons in the county, or do we want to raise the amount for business? So I think that's a pertinent conversation that we hopefully can have this afternoon in workshop.
One question that might be able to be researched before workshop is whether or not we need to come up with a new program, or we can add to the current program so we don't have to reinvent the wheel. Just take what we have and add on to it. And just for conversational purposes later this afternoon, if somebody can do the research.
Ms. Young, do you think you should try to get that for us, or is that too quick?
If our CARES consultant is available, and to clarify, you're wanting a stipend for which category of citizens?
Well, I want to discuss that this afternoon. I know that we haven't talked about it yet. We had talked about it earlier, the possibility of senior citizens or disabled persons that have been affected by COVID, and it wouldn't be they wouldn't be $10,000 or $4,000 like we're giving businesses right now. It would be in the hundreds range is what I think other municipalities have done. And what we'd have to do is decide how much we're going to set aside, and out of that money, how much we're going to give. And then it would have to cap out at that point on that many applications being presented. That's just my thoughts on the issue. So anyhow, with that being said, with the CARES Act's been extended, I want to welcome Sarah to the team. I'm looking forward to her showing up.
Mr. Chair, we still have a motion.
Yeah, you
I'm
didn't
sorry.
vote.
We still have to vote. Yeah, thank you. I'm first to admit I need supervision from time to time. So with that being said, is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Motion carries unanimously to move the application period to the 15th of October at this time. Again, I'd like to welcome Sarah to the team. I look forward to you being here. I want to also welcome JR to the team. I'm very enthusiastic, to say the least. Not just that JR is with us, but JR was the last of our executive directors that's been filled. And as of Monday, our new org chart, or at least the administrative portion of our org chart that we've worked on for a year, has come to fruition. I think it's a big feather in Administrator Suggs' hat that this has been done. And I think it's also a feather in his hat that it's been done while saving $100,000 over last year's organizational structure. So I think both those are big deals, and something that'll change the county for years to come and the way the county does business. And kudos to commissioners for working with the administration to try and get this changed. I think that it'll be, like I said, a long-term good deal for Putnam County. As far as the farm share goes, I'm not going to comment on it. I'm not going to steal Commissioner Harvey's thunder. But I would like to say that it was a great team, and Commissioner Harvey did well leading us. Sometimes we're like penning cats. He did real well, and I want to give him his kudos because I know he won't take them himself. I was going to talk about CARES funding some, but I think it's been talked about enough today. And but I do want to thank the team for trying real hard to get everything out as much as they can. And I want to thank the finance office. Once they got the checks on Friday, they cut the checks on Monday. I'm very appreciative of that. And with that being said, the next commissioner I'm going to ask for their comments is Commissioner Harvey.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I do want to say, Mr. Suggs is very brave to try to reach out and remember everybody that was there. I pretty much gave up. But I can tell you this, that Farm Share, we looked around that morning, it was very slim. But the volunteers showed up, and my understanding there were 570 families were served and 80,000 pounds of food was given out. And I would be remiss not to thank Commissioner Rawls for bringing his forklift and his skid steer. There you go, to the event, because if we didn't have that, it would have been almost impossible to make this thing happen. And watching his son drive the skid steer was pretty cool too. But I thank everybody who was involved. I know it was a lot of work. I stayed a little bit later talking to the Farm Share lady, and we had people still driving up looking for food, and it broke my heart. There was one lady, it looked like a mother, with 2 children strapped in the back of a little minivan, not a new minivan, and she was looking for food. And I felt so bad. At one time in my life, I didn't have money in my pocket, or I would have just pulled it out. But, these people need help. And I've already talked to them about maybe doing a big blitz in Putnam County again, the West End and the South End, and possibly again back in Palatka. So it's quite evident that people need help in our area. And Mr. Chairman, honestly, I couldn't have, I know you want to give me kudos, but I was just the guy sending emails out, getting there early. At 5:30, there was 25 cars lined up for food. It's really all the commissioners and all the support that we had and our staff to pull things together at the last moment. And Mr. Flato, Chief Flato, Interim Chief Flato, let me say this. He saw the need. He come to me and said, I didn't know that much about it. What can we do? I'll get more people. And he went right to work on it, and him and Mr. Toronto. And I'd be remiss if I did not mention one gentleman, because I've had this task before, but David Parsons. When you stand out there and you're the first person who directs people into a line of traffic, that's not the pleasant job in the world. Matter of fact, you get hollered at, you get almost run over at times. But for him and Chief Ron Sherlock and his wife to direct traffic was just was immensely beneficial to our county and to get people moving in the proper direction. So again, Farm Share was just outstanding, and it really touched me. And it's one of those things that you do and you'll never not do it again once you do it. So thank you. Mr. Chairman, I do want to say that last Saturday, Governor DeSantis released out to he released $255 million of CARES Act, again, money to the 55 potential counties. We don't know. Florida Association of Counties and Small County Coalition was really pushing more money to come out. We do not know if Putnam is going to get that same share that we got before, but we do know that there's money on the street and they're working that out. I will say our Association of Counties and our Small County Coalition, as of yesterday again, recommended to Governor DeSantis to go ahead and just release all the money that we have sitting in Tallahassee and let us be responsible for it, which I do support that, because for us to try to spend any reserves, if we get to that point and hopes to get that money back, would be, I think, irresponsible on our part. So I do want to say that I think there's going to be opportunities in the future for expanding CARES Act to our citizens. And the goal was what Commissioner Rawls says, and we all agree that the money is designed to help the people in our area. It's not designed for us to sit on, and we don't want to sit on it. And we want to get that money out, but we'll have that conversation a little bit later. And Mr. Chairman, one last thing, I would like to get an update on where we're at. I heard in Ms. Young's comments about Public Works doing a survey for the animal shelter, but could we get a little update from Commissioner Rawls on where he's at on that, or Julianne? Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That ends my comment.
Ms. Young, would you like to take that, or would you like me to hand it to Commissioner Rawls at this time?
You can certainly, Commissioner Rawls, if you have something.
Sure. So we've gone as far as we can go. The preliminary design is complete. There was a second iteration, changed the center portion substantially. Staff came in after taking a look at the first floor plan and said, look, if we could really mimic this. So my wife got in there, met with staff, got it redesigned, redesigned the kennel areas a little bit to allow the dangerous dogs to be in there and not in where the staff is. And but we can't do a site plan. That's the next step would be to create a site plan until we have the boundary survey. And Lisa had indicated that she's working with Public Works. I know Public Works is busy right now, to say the least. And but as soon as we have that, it'll take us a couple hours to develop a site plan. And I think they're going to give us topos or topographical elevations at the same time, which would be very helpful. Then we can move forward from there. But as far as the shelter itself, as far as we know, staff is satisfied with the current layout. And I believe it's been sent on to staff. If not, I can make it happen right now.
Thank you, Commissioner Raw. I'd like to get a copy of that, but I appreciate all the hard work you're doing. And I appreciate staff actually having the input that they've been having along this path, because they're the ones that are going to have to work in that facility and utilize that to the best of their ability. So thank you, Commissioner Rawls. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for your leadership on that as also.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Young, did you have anything to add, or are we good?
No, sir, I think that's great.
All right, thank you. Next, Commissioner Rawls, did you have any comments at this time or requests?
Just had a great time Saturday. I really enjoyed participating in that. I wish we could do more for the community. Echoing what Commissioner Harvey said, I got there at about 6:15, and there was way more than 25 vehicles. I'm guessing there's probably over 75 to 100 vehicles lined up, and they didn't stop coming. They didn't stop coming until after 10 o'clock, and it just shows the need. When I was speaking to one of the representatives from Farm Share, they said that they were told to anticipate 300, but they brought enough for 350. And my comment to her was, you better be prepared for over 400, because it's typically what we see in these events. So I would like to see more of them. I'll give my commitment to participate in every one of them as we have them. I think it's something that we really should do for the community. And kudos to Commissioner Harvey for getting this organized and putting it on. And the need was just obvious. Staff was great. Everybody was great. I think everybody had a good time. And then time really flies by. You get cranked up around 7 o'clock or so, 7:30. They started moving the cars through, and in the blink of an eye, 2 hours is gone. So, and then I also want to give props to Mr. Troxel. He's been making a lot of people in District 2 happy. I can't speak for District 1 or anybody else, but been getting a lot of good feedback from about Public Works in responses. We've had some really bad times. I don't know at the rest of the county as far as rainfall, but BOCC area seems to have a little weather center right over the top of it that dumps rain every day. And a sheriff's deputy actually got stuck in College Road, and he was able to respond the next day. He and I had gone out there that day to look at College Road and knew that there was a really bad spot in it. And within 24 hours, he had a team mobilized and making a repair. So kudos to Public Works for what they're doing, and for senior staff for keeping them working and funded. Otherwise, I really don't have anything else for this afternoon.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Rawls. Commissioner Goddard, did you have anything for us this morning, sir?
Yes, I do. Hopefully you can see me. Something's happened where I don't have a screen.
I can hear you.
Okay, good. Yeah, suddenly my screen is gone. But I'm going to have to, because of the results of the primary, I'm going to have to resign from several boards that I'm on. One of them being the Northeast Florida Regional Council. I'll be stepping down from that one. I recommend that we put Larry Harvey in that place because he's very well aware of that board.
Okay.
Any comments?
Commissioner Harvey, is that okay with you?
Mr. Chairman, I was the governor's appointment for Putnam County for 3 years, and I'd be glad to fill Mr. Goddard's spot on that board.
Okay. Do we fill that spot by consensus? Or do we need a motion? I think
it might need a motion.
I think you do.
Okay. What'd you say, Rich?
I think you do need a motion for that.
Okay.
So I'll make a motion that we put Larry Harvey in that position.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Goddard and a second by Commissioner Pickens that we appoint Larry Harvey to the, which board was it again, Commissioner Goddard?
It's the Northeast Florida Regional Council.
Regional Planning Council. Okay, good deal. Thank you, Commissioner Harvey, for agreeing to do that. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed, ayes have it, motion carries unanimously. As always, Commissioner Harvey, we appreciate you filling in where needed.
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Goddard, please continue.
Okay, the second one is the Small County Coalition. That's another board that I'm on. And again, I was going to recommend Larry Harvey to, take care of that in my place.
I think he already goes to the FAC meetings, which is held in conjunction with them, Larry. Commissioner Harvey, aren't you already on the Small County Coalition?
I am not, sir. I chair the Rural Caucus for the Association of Counties, which kind of gives me a de facto seat at the Small County Coalition. But currently it's Commissioner Goddard and Commissioner Pickens who actually hold a seat on the Small County Coalition. So it's whatever the board chooses to do. I can take a permanent seat, but I have a de facto non-voting seat right now.
Well, if there's no conflict there, I would prefer that you're going to be there anyhow. Maybe you would take that over as well, if you don't mind, sir.
I'd be glad to, sir.
Okay, Commissioner Goddard, would you make that a motion also, please?
Yes, I'll make a motion that Larry Harvey takes over for the Small County Coalition.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Goddard and a second by Commissioner Pickens that Commissioner Harvey take over on the Small County Coalition for Commissioner Goddard. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, ayes have it, motion carries unanimously. Again, thank you, Commissioner Harvey. Commissioner Goddard, please continue.
Okay, the third one is
please not continue anymore. Okay.
The transportation disadvantaged, and I wasn't going to recommend Commissioner Harvey for this one, but I do. Someone will need to fill in until we put somebody in that position. I figure that'll happen after the second meeting in November. Okay. I just wanted, that one's more of a heads up that if anything comes up, we'll need a commissioner to sit in as the chairman until we decide who will be the chairman.
Okay.
I don't have a problem with that if nobody else wants it.
Okay.
Okay.
Commissioner Rawls has volunteered to do that.
Okay.
Do you have anything else, Commissioner Goddard?
Well, I do have two things. I'd like to find out what's going on with the Forest Roads agreement. It seems to stall quite often. I was just seeing, if that's been moving along at all.
Okay, who can take that, Administrator Suggs? Can you or Julianne, or who's been working on that, the Forest Road agreement?
I'll take it, Mr. Chairman. If that's all right, we'll, we've reached out to them. We've had some communication. I believe the ball was back in their court last I heard, but I will see if I can get some more communication from Mr. Troxel and I believe it's Tabby who's been emailing back and forth with the forestry division for us. So I'll get some more information and I'll update you at 2:00.
Okay.
Okay. That's it. Everything else I'll take care of with my own phone calls.
Okay. Thank you, Commissioner Goddard. Commissioner Pickens.
Okay. Thank you, Chairman Turner. I think most of my closing comments have been touched on, but I'll just start by saying it was a great weekend for Holly and myself. Our granddaughter, Isabella Ray, turned 2 years old Friday the 18th, and she is absolutely a princess. And our anniversary was Saturday the 19th. We've been married 33 years. And so we celebrated by coming to Palaca to the Board of County Commission office to help with the farm share. That's how we celebrate it after 33 years. And I was truly happy and honored to be able to help. I just want to commend Larry Harvey for putting that together. And Keith Perry, Representative Payne, and Senator Perry for their participation also. And the Florida Highway Patrol. It looked like we weren't going to have enough help, but a few phone calls and people showing up. Kudos to the Sheriff's Department, the Fire Service, EMS, and it really went well. The amount of food that we gave away was kind of staggering, and most of the people really were all of them were very appreciative of what we were doing there. I would like to really comment, Commissioner Rawls and his wife, Dawn, and his son, Liam. When we got there, Jeff was there with his very state-of-the-art skid steer unloading stuff. And if Jeff, that's your other piece of equipment, that forklift, it's not so state-of-the-art, but it worked well. But I believe you need the injection pump rebuilt because it sure
Actually, we believe that the air filter is too small for it. So it's running very rich. But yes, that's a 1972 Toyota forklift that we purchased for $800 and resurrected.
But anyway, the organization was great. And it's really, it does my heart well to see, Jeff and Don bring Liam out and have him participate and seeing how adults are helping other adults. And I'd like to give kudos to the farm share people. That's the second time that I've worked with this group. And I've not been around a more organized and more positive group of people loving what they're doing. And we're really happy to be here and help out Putnam County. The second thing, I would like to commend Administrator Suggs and staff. As they said, yesterday was the first day for the new organizational chart to have all the directors in place. And I've already seen benefits of this structure, and I think it's going to be great moving forward. I would like to welcome Sarah to our team. She's been part of our team, but now she's, going to be over here all the time. And I just want to thank her for that. And just want to recognize J.R. Grimes. J.R. is special to me. He's one of my favorite young men. I went to school with his parents and knew his grandfather. Also did business with him, and I'm just really happy that JR has decided to, to take this position. And I think he'll do a great job. And I think that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Pickens. One last thing, Commissioner Harvey and Ms. Young, if y'all could keep a close eye on that new tranche of money that I heard that it was coming. And as soon as we get it, I want to try and come up with a program, even if we have to call something special, because the last thing that I'm interested in is sending one dime of that money back. If we can spend it in a manner that will help the citizens of the county and not get the county in a bad position. And I think that we're in a better position. We have our somebody's getting feedback. I think we're in a much better position if we actually have the money in our hands instead of the state hands as a possible promise that we're going to get it back. I'm not totally convinced at this point that all that money is going to come to the counties that they've promised or that they've said was coming. But I think there's a lot better chance of us not having to give it back or not having to pay it and not get refunded if the money's actually been sent out to us. So thank you for monitoring that, Commissioner Harvey. I have been also, and I know Ms. Young has been doing the same. So Is there anything else to come before the board?
Mr. Chairman, may I make one final comment, and I apologize?
Sure, go ahead.
I just want Commissioner Harvey to know that I will not forget that he owes me a cup of coffee from Saturday. And I truly anticipate that the next time I see him, there'll be a fresh cup on my desk.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't hold my breath, Administrator Suggs.
Well, hey, okay, wait a minute. Defense of me. You need to show up with enough coffee for everyone next time, okay?
Well, you didn't spill his coffee, you drank it?
Kind of. It's like John Wayne said, Pilgrim, you're fixing to accidentally get shot. So his coffee accidentally got spilled on purpose.
And we'll leave it at that.
I know that we can't thank everybody, but there was a lot of county people out there, department heads, and there are a lot of them on this call. And at the risk of missing somebody, I just want to reach out to them too and say thank you for your help on Saturday. It was much appreciated. And with that, I'm going to recess the Board of County Commissioners meeting until 5:05 when we will have a public hearing on budget.
Mr. Chairman.
For the budget. So this meeting is hereby recessed.
Hey, I needed to talk to you guys for a second. I've been waiting all day to talk to you.
Okay, we're not recessed. Who is Maddie?
My name is Maddie Langlois. I'm a Putnam County taxpayer. How you doing? First off, I'd like to thank you guys for the job you guys are doing. It's been an honor to listen to you guys work so hard for the county in there. Thank you very much for your service. It's come to my attention that there's a piece of property that is owned by an association that's no longer in business and has not had a business license in many years. The address is 151 Trisale Avenue in Palatka. There's been no taxes paid. Nobody knows who owns the property, and our county is getting screwed out of tax dollars on something that you guys should be collecting tax dollars on. So as a paralegal and a county person here, I would love to offer my services to come in for free at no cost to the county and research what other properties we may have that we're not getting our tax dollars on, because I think that's a shame. There's structures on this property that could be taxed. And I think that it's a shame that we're not getting our tax dollars, don't you?
I would agree.
Well, I think that we already have that process in place through the tax deed sale and the tax deed process and the tax certificate process. And so until it gets to that point, I don't see where it's necessary.
Well, it's been years
for us to know this already being handled by the.
Okay. I'll pull the name of the owner of the fictitious name, and we'll see, because I know that the taxes haven't been paid in many years. So the fail-safe is failing.
This is not the proper venue for us to. And
okay.
Under public comment, I'm not going to debate you. But I'm trying to answer the question that is handled by the different constitutional officer. And that is who does tax certificates.
Who would that be? Who would that be? I'm also with
Clerk of the Court.
News. The clerk of the court. Okay, I'm also with Bolt Action News, so this is an interesting story.
Okay, well,
I appreciate it.
Thank you very much for calling. Yeah, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, if there's no more comment, this meeting is hereby recessed.